Okay, we are continuing on with the idea of solving linear equations that involve coefficients, as well as using distributive property, and maybe having multiple terms that might require multiplication or division. Okay, so moving on, we're going to include some more problem solving in today's lesson. Before we go there, I would like you to do a couple of review questions. I am going to solve 2 of them for you, and I am going to leave the other 2 for you. The first one is definitely a tricky question, so I'm going to do the first one with you because it might give you a bit of frustration. And then I will leave 2 of them for you to do yourself. Okay, so looking at this first one, my initial thought is to always, great, there's distributive property, no, let's divide. So I tried dividing, but when we divide them, I don't know if you noticed, we go 7.5 divided by 9.5, we get negative 0.78947, like it's gross. So that's not going to work for us because then we're going to have to round, and then we're not dealing with exact values, it's estimates, so that's not going to work. So then we do need to distribute. So let's distribute. So I do want you to notice on that one that that's not an example where division will work because you are estimating. It's the same as if you had an irrational decimal. That doesn't work for us. You need to have a terminating solution. Otherwise, we need to find a different method. So this is our different method. So negative 9.5x plus 39.9 equals 7.5. So we're going to minus 39.9 from both sides. Oops. Okay, that equals negative 32.4. Another option you could have done is you could have turned the 9.5 and 7.5 into fractions. So negative 9.5 and negative 7.5, and could have worked at from a fraction method, okay? If you don't want to solve this way, if you don't want to distribute. So now we're going to divide by negative 9.5. And again, we get an irrational, so we get negative 3.41, blah, 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 blah. So we do have to round it, okay? It's not going to be an exact value, but at least it's our final solution, and so it's not going to impact any further calculations for this question, whereas if we had divided up here, or up here, that decimal that we had rounded to would have impacted our solution all the way down. And I'm actually going to put x is approximately negative 3.4. It's not an exact value, we've rounded. If you left it in fraction, if you turned it into fraction form at the beginning, you would have got negative 324 over 95, which is a beautiful fraction to deal with, right? That was sarcasm, by the way. I'm going to let you do letter B by yourself. You decide how you want to solve that one. And I think that of the 2, you know what, I think that D is the uglier of the 2. So I will do D for you. So I'm going to leave B and C for you to do on your own. And I'll do the 2 ugly ones with you. Okay. A couple things going on here. I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation. I'm going to get rid of the denominators, okay? So we're going to multiply this side by 6 times 3 over 1. 6 is brutal. Let's try that. Okay? And we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to go times by 6 by 3. So we're multiplying by both denominators, so that way we don't end up with the denominator. So these 2 6's are going to cancel out, so we get left with 3 times 7 is equal to 2 times 5 minus g times the 3's will cancel out times 6. So it's kind of like the denominators have just switched to multiply the numerator on the opposite side of the equation. You probably noticed that pattern. So now we get 21. I'm going to multiply the 2 and the 6 to give us 12 times 5 minus g. Okay. And then we distribute, because 21 divided by 12 is going to give us a fraction again. So we need to distribute. We're always looking for a way to try and not add fractions in if possible. Unless you like fractions, and then go for it. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of the 60. This is a positive 60, so we're going to minus 60 from both sides. Negative 39, that equals 0, equals negative 12g. To get g by itself, many of you will go plus 12. But you have to remember that we're doing the opposite. So if it's being multiplied by negative 12, to undo times by negative 12 is divide by negative 12. So negative divided by negative is going to give us a positive. And when we divide those, we get 3.25. That's a nice terminating decimal, equals to g. So we could leave it at 325, or we could put 3 1/4 equals g. Either one. Okay, so I'm going to check letters B and C from you tomorrow. So the next type of questions we're doing are going to ask, talking about the mean. So if you remember back from Math 7, we talked about mean, median, and mode. Mean is the average. Okay, just to review, if we're talking about the median, it's the middle number of a set of data, and then the mode is the one that's the most often. Just as a review, the way I remember it, mean has an E and an A, and average has E's and A's, and the other words don't. Median has an I, middle has I, average and most don't have I's, and then mode and most, they're the ones with the O's. That's how I remember it. So we want to find the mean, or we want to find the average of this data. So the way that you find the mean is the total of the data divided by the number of data. Okay, so to find the mean of these two values, we're going to find the total, so 11 plus 33, and divide it by the number. Well, there's 2 of them, so we're going to divide it by 2. So 44 divided by 2, the mean is 22. Okay, pretty easy. Same thing, if we have negatives, to find the mean, we're going to add them up. So negative 14.5 is going to be added to 6.8. We divide by 2 because there are 2 pieces of data. So then the mean is negative 7.7, right? There's more negative than positive here, so when we add them, we can think of subtracting them even. 6.8 minus 14.5. So then the mean between them is going to be negative 3.85. So that's how we find the mean. So now let's turn that into a word problem. Okay, so during the summer in Calgary, the average temperature is 17.4 degrees Celsius. That's not bad. One day, the high temperature was 18.8. What was the low? So mean is equal to the sum, or the total, divided by the number of data. In this case, we're talking about the high and the low, so we're talking about 2 pieces of data. We know the mean. The mean is 17.4 degrees. The total is going to be the high temperature plus the low temperature. We don't know what the low temperature is, so I'm going to use L to stand for the low. Okay, if your L's look like 1s, don't use L. Use a different number, or use a cursive L. And then number of data, that's going to be 2 pieces. So now we need to work backwards to figure out what L is. So I am going to times by 2 times by 2. So then we get 34.8 degrees Celsius is equal to 18.8 degrees Celsius plus the low minus 18.8 on both sides. And so the low temperature we get is exactly 60 degrees Celsius. If they ask you with a question, you should answer it with a sentence or at least some kind of words. I'm going to leave this second one for you to do. Very similar setup. The only difference is this one is asking you for the high temperature. So we're giving you the low, you need to find the high temperature. Same kind of process as the last one. So it should be doable for you. Oops. Wrong button. So then the last thing I want to show you is something to do with perimeter. I keep giving you perimeter practice questions because for some reason you don't remember how to do it. So I'm going to give you lots more. So this one says a square. If it is a square, that's telling you a hint. All the sides are the same. Has a perimeter of 50.8 units. So if we added up all the side lengths, we get 50.8. So if it's a square, all the side lengths are also the same. So if this side is x minus 4, this side is also x minus 4, and this side is also x minus 4. Okay, and when we're talking about perimeter, we're talking about going around all of these 4 sides, the distance around the 4 outsides. So we could go x minus 4 plus x minus 4 plus x minus 4 plus x minus 4, or we could realize that it's going to be the same as 4 times x minus 4, and that has to equal 50.8. Okay? You could also have gone 1, 2, 3, 4 and got 4x minus 4 minus 8 minus 12 minus 16 equals 50.8. So you could have added them up separately when you go around the perimeter. You will find that when we distribute this, we would get the same thing. But I'm not going to distribute this because I notice that I have a coefficient that I can divide by. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And when I divide by 4, I get x minus 4 equals 12.7. There's no coefficient with the x, so as long as once I get rid of that minus 4, x will be by itself. So x is 16.7, let's say, units. So that's what x is. That's not the length of one side. That's just what x is. So if I want to know the length of one side is x minus 4. So 16.7 units minus 4, so 12.7 units is the length of one of the sides. Okay, so that's it for lesson 5 for chapter 8. We have one more lesson of basic practice. Well, I say basic practice, but one more of equations without really crazy word problems. And then lesson 7 really gets into the word problems. After lesson 6, that's a place where we could also do some advancement for those of you that are looking to do some more advanced algebra. We can go there after lesson 6, pardon me. So if you are feeling up to it, then please make sure you let me know tomorrow in class.